Are you watching? Because something just sent shivers down the spines of Western leaders. With this one move, Putin could literally shift power overnight, and there are warning signs popping up all over that crap is about to hit the fan in a big way. Don't be distracted by Christmas. You need to be paying attention because, in fact, the World Economic Forum is now issuing a major warning for the United States.
History is truly at a turning point.
Yes, Klaus Schwab's WEF is warning the U.S. is in for a major recession. I've got a lot of important developments to get to and some stunning data to show you on this show. And much of it concerns you and your family, protecting yourselves against what's about to unfold. But first, something sent shivers down the spines of Western markets late this week. And frankly, it's all anyone is talking about who watches these things very closely. Here's Austrian economist Lawrence Leppard. All of the pieces are in place, he says. The system is so close to blowing a gasket. When it does, the global print-a-thon is going to change the world as we know it. You will either be in a position or you won't. Grab a chair before the music stops. Ouch. So as an example, it all started with a note from Credit Suisse contributor Zoltan Pozsar. Now, Pozsar, you'll recall, has been sounding the alarm about collapse of Western money structures that were put in place after World War II, better known as Bretton Woods. Now, he says the countries that have gold, oil, and other commodities will lead the world going forward. And we've been sounding this alarm on this show for quite a while. But I'm not going to focus on that today because you're a smart audience, and we've been telling you this for months. If you're one of our 1.5 million subscribers on our channel, then you are already prepared for this. Instead, Pozsar late this week issued a stunning alert about Putin, and his message has now gone viral. If Putin decides to flip the switch on the Western price cap on its oil by only accepting gold for oil, we would see the price of gold skyrocket to $3,600 an ounce. Basically saying, fine, hey, you want to put a price cap on our oil at $60? Fine. We just won't use dollars anymore. We will use gold. Now, Pozsar says this is not improbable at all. And then gold to double to $3,600 an ounce because of Putin's price move. Here's a Twitter take from David Brady that nails it. Gold to soar, crush Western banks when Putin unveils petro-gold. Russia's decision to link gold to oil could bring gold back as a settlement medium and increase its intrinsic value sharply. Banks active in the paper gold market would face a liquidity shortfall. Basically, if you don't have gold, you're screwed. In other words, financial Armageddon. Their only solution is to print money they don't have, and this would mean collapse. Or as Clem Chambers put it, an almighty crash. Watch.
I mean, nothing's going right. Even Warren Buffett's losing money. Warren Buffett is losing money. Come on. And I think what we're in now is potentially an oncoming storm. There will be an almighty crash.
So in this scenario, Russia's President Vladimir Putin responds to the recently introduced $60 a barrel of oil price cap by asking for a gram of gold for 2 barrels of crude oil. He writes that Russia won't produce more oil, but would ensure that there is enough demand that production doesn't get shut down. It would also ensure that more oil goes to Europe than to the United States through India. And most importantly, gold going from $1,800 to close to $3,600 would increase the value of Russia's gold reserves and its gold output at home and in a range of countries in Africa, Pozsar describes. So, at current market prices, the cap of $60 per barrel for Russian oil equals the price of a gram of gold. Now, Pozsar said what eventually happens here is the United States pegs Russian export at this price, and Russia, in return, pegs it at a gram of gold. And this would come at a time when the United States is working to refill its strategic reserves with cheap petroleum. See, what's important here is that the Biden administration has drained the strategic oil reserves in the United States. And the only way to get it back is by purchasing cheap Russian oil. And then Putin says, sorry, we're only accepting gold now. Boom. Putin says, sure, you want a price cap at this price? We'll accept it if you pay for it in gold. Now, Biden has depleted the strategic petroleum reserves. We're now at a 4-decade low of oil in those reserves. But the bigger problem for these banks is that if the world shifts towards gold-backed currencies, they are not prepared for it. The Western banks are living in a fantasy world right now of fake printed money as Russia, China, and India move towards a currency that is backed by gold. Now, a couple of other big news stories around this coming collapse that I want to draw your attention to. So we had news this weekend that they're coming for Putin's gold. If you needed any more evidence that the NATO war against Russia is nothing more than an economic war to protect a failing US dollar hegemony, look at this. NATO actively trying to steal Putin's gold because they know what's coming. CNN headline: in the new US defense bill is a provision takes aim at Russia's pot of gold. Now, the legislative text of the National Defense Authorization Bill for fiscal year 2023 includes language from a bipartisan bill introduced back in March that would make it harder for Russian President Putin to use gold to prop up the ruble. They say if passed, this defense bill would directly sanction any American entities that knowingly transact with or transport gold from Russia's central bank holdings. But what if Russia only accepts gold for oil? Then everything changes. Listen to Senator Angus King. He told CNN, quote, Russia's massive gold supply is one of the few remaining assets that Putin can tap to bankroll his country's violent, bloody expansionism. By sanctioning these reserves, we can further isolate Russia from the world's economy and increase the difficulty of Putin's increasingly costly military campaign. See, it's not about the military or the war. It's about the money. It always has been. Putin has gold built up to $127 billion of reserves. That's why the world central banks are suddenly buying up as much gold as they can. As former Fed Chair Alan Greenspan notes, fiat currency can't even touch gold. Watch.
Gold is a currency. It is still, by all evidences, the premier currency where no fiat currency, including the dollar, can match it.
So they tell us publicly that they don't want currencies backed by gold, but they are liars. As former Fed Chair Alan Greenspan points out, all of these central banks are buying up gold and they're sitting on it.
Well, you know what's interesting is gold is still significant. I ask myself if it's a relic of a long history, why is there $1 trillion held in gold by the world's central banks, plus the IMF and all of the other financial institutions? If it's worthless and meaningless, why is everybody still holding it?
He's right. Not only are they sitting on gold, but they're actively buying as much of it as they can. Just look at the central banks around the world stockpiling gold. And gold producers are working overtime to bring as much of it as they can to market right now, if they can find it. Now, the central bankers are panicking, and Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum just issued this alert. Yes, the WEF. Here's their headline: U.S. banks brace for a recession. Isn't it kind of ironic, actually? The WEF policies basically got us into this mess, and they issue a report saying we're screwed. So here's what they actually say in this report. The biggest U.S. banks are bracing for a worsening economy next year as inflation threatens consumer demand. J.P. Morgan Chief Executive Jamie Dimon told CNBC that consumers and companies are in good shape, but said that many may not last much longer as the economy slows down and inflation erodes consumer spending power. Yeah, when people are paying triple to heat their homes, and 1 in 4 millennials are now giving up their apartments because they can't afford it, they're moving back in with their parents. Yeah, that's happening. Then another big piece of news from this weekend, the largest investment manager, BlackRock, out with a new warning. BlackRock prepares for a recession unlike any other, and what worked before won't work now, reads the headline. Now, according to BlackRock, the global economy has entered a phase of elevated volatility, writes Zero Hedge, and that a recession is imminent due to central banks aggressively boosting borrowing costs to tame inflation. Their actions, according to a team of BlackRock strategists, will ignite more market turbulence than ever before. So, it's incredibly important right now to protect your family. The warning signs are there, guys. You know, if you are a subscriber to my channel, you know this. I've been beating this drum. Please protect your family. The data doesn't lie right now. So that's the news update part of this video. Now I want to tell you about today's sponsor for this video, which is tied directly to this gold demand that we are seeing. This company is amazing. You're going to want to pay attention to this. They are about to make significant waves in the gold space. Let me show you some astonishing details about this company called Zacatecas. Now, when this baby hits 88 miles an hour, you're going to see some serious shit. You might not even heard of this company. You might never have heard of this company, but you're about to. The share price of this stock today is only 53 cents a share, so very cheap. Put a pin in that price for just a minute. We'll come back to that. Now, the founder of Zacatecas is Brian Solarczyk. He hit a massive home run with his very first gold company. It was one of the biggest success stories in the last decade in gold mining. Now, that company he took from almost nothing to a $1.5 billion market cap. It now has 1,600 employees, and that stock is up nearly 1,700%. Here's the chart. Yes, you can see that, nearly up 1,700%. That's when they hit gold in Papua New Guinea. Their share price went from 45 cents to over $8 a share. Again, a nearly 1,700% increase. Not bad. And now the very same team from this first success story are back. They're running his second company. It's called Zacatecas. Now their stock ticker is here on your screen, ZCTSF. Again, the same executive team is back. John Lewins, Nancy Lacouve, and Brian Solarczyk are back running this company. It's like an all-star team. And that's why I'm going big into this company personally, because it's like a baby version of his first company. And he's told us that he's basically following the exact same strategy of his first company. This is literally your second chance to get in early with the very same team. It's like turning back the clock. And this strategy centers around a massive gold vein discovery in one of their mines in Mexico. So listen to this. The company's key asset is the Esperanza Gold Project. It's being moved towards production. It is high-grade oxide gold. The Esperanza project is one of the highest-grade, underdeveloped oxide gold projects in the world, and it has a resource in excess of 1 million ounces of gold. Now, because of this gold mine, they raised $20 million from big players in this space, and many of these big investors who bought shares are now sitting on the shares that they paid 90 cents a share for in the United States. So they bought it for 90 cents, right? The stock is currently trading at 53 cents. And they're waiting and sitting on their shares, waiting for this thing to explode over the next few months and years. So if you bought shares of this gold producer, you'd be getting it at nearly half the price of the current institutional investors that are sitting on their shares. Now, this is a really important point that I'm about to make. They acquired this gold project from Alamos Gold. Alamos, if any of you follow gold industry and you understand what's going on here, they are one of the titans in this industry. Instead of taking cash for this gold project, they asked to be paid for in stock. They wanted to be shareholders of Zacatecas and stay exposed to the upside. They didn't just want cash. They want to be invested in it. And as they start to extract gold from this project, they want to reap the rewards of a skyrocketing share price. So Alamos is the largest shareholder of the company. Another huge shareholder is mining genius Eric Sprott. Now, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know all about Eric Sprott. He's like the Michael Jordan of mining. Another key point about shareholders in this company I want to show you is something interesting. The CEO of the company, Brian Solarczyk, keeps buying shares of the company week in and week out. So just look at these transactions. These are all public. You can look at them yourself. This is the CEO who keeps buying up as many shares of his own company as he can. So this share structure is super tight, and it fits the ownership of companies with big believers in it, which means the insiders will do everything they can to make this work because they have millions of their own money and skin in the game. So Alamos owns almost 12 million shares. Brian Solarczyk, the CEO, owns 4.5 million shares and is buying more as we speak. So again, I'm incredibly bullish on these junior gold producers who have this incredible track record with previous companies and who have large institutional investors buying up their shares. I'm going to put their ticker up here on the screen. Now, it's very important. Pay attention to this ticker. On the left side of the screen is the US ticker. And then on the right side of the screen is the OTC version of the ticker. However you want to use it. I personally use E-Trade as my brokerage to buy OTC stocks. You'll need to use one of the larger brokerages like Fidelity or TD Ameritrade or E-Trade in order to trade this stock. So I'll have links in the description below for you to go out and do your own due diligence. Go to their website, dive into their latest gold reports and their projects, go through their public filings and data. This is a company I'm watching very closely. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel right here, and we'll see you again next time.